snacks.
What it do, snackers, snackettes, and snack X's? It's your boy Gage. I'm here with Jokes and Sin, and you are now tuned into Loading Snacks Weekly, where we get together once a week and talk about the things that are happening in pop culture. And today we're going to talk about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. We're going to talk about Dune 2, among other things. But first, Jokes, you got a job to do.
Cool.
What up to everybody who's hanging out and watching and so forth? Cuddy, I hope you're ready for Thursday. Because it's going down. You know what I'm saying? I hope you're ready for Thursday because it's going down. Enough said. What up, Doctor Who? Joe's getting that Beacons link up for y'all. Saying you got a job to do.
Yeah, so let's give a shout out to our top tier patrons, starting with Anthony Cunningham, Marcus Houston, Susan Dortch, Tyrone Carson, Meticulous Skin, Alex Lee, Ellis Mbe, and Kermit Ferguson. Thank you very much. We truly, truly appreciate it.
It's a fact. We absolutely do. Thank you so much for your patronage. It means the world. Continue to like and to share and to subscribe. We are inching ever so closely to that infamous 1,000 followers on YouTube. So continue to spread the word. See if we can't push ourselves over the limit this weekend at AwesomeCon. My man said I'm off.
He said you ready for it.
So look, Cuddy, here's the thing. I'm leaving work early.
The decision has been made.
I mean, I gotta cut some hours, you know what I'm saying? So
hey, that works.
So might as well be, you know.
My man, it's like I'm working too hard. I need to go ahead.
If you got to do it anyway, you know.
Hey, I mean, it's a fact. I am working too hard. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Jokes, how many hours you got in?
Right now, I'm only at about like an hour and a half right now.
Okay. Sin?
0.
Okay. Jokes? Don't put your hands in the air, Sin. Jokes? You played through Remake, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Did you play the Intergrade DLC as well?
I did not.
You skipped Intergrade. Okay. Sin,
yes, sir.
You bulldozed through Remake.
Yes.
Correct?
Correct.
And then bulldoze almost unnecessarily through Intergrade.
Yes.
Okay. But haven't started Rebirth.
Howdy.
No, I haven't started Rebirth.
Hey, now. Okay, Jokes.
An
hour and a half in, having played Remake. Why couldn't they just make this joint Remake Part 2?
Part 2 it
like, I just really, you know what? We're gonna have a sharp turn for a second. What's the point? You know what I mean? Like, it's just
trying to do something cool with the names.
Right. It's just for the sheer fact of people to know that, hey, listen, these are 3 separate games. It's 3 separate games within the damn same story that I can't get. Honestly, I can't give you a proper answer for it because it shouldn't be that way.
Nah, but I think you're right. I think you're right. I actually think you do have the right answer. I'm gonna say, as much as it bothers me, right? Like just just say that it's the second part of what, because it's all a new game. Like what happens in remake is different from what happens in the original game in Final Fantasy VII. So like, what, you know what I'm saying? Why not just call it Final Fantasy VII Retelling, and then have a part 1, a part 2, and part 3 if you're gonna do that, right? That's basically what they're doing.
Easy enough.
We're talking timelines and multiverses here now, and that is kind of disgusting. But you're probably right, because SEO says if you name it Remake Part 2, people won't buy it if they didn't play the first one.
True.
Makes sense.
It is the same reason why we never got an Xbox 2. We went from Xbox to Xbox 360 because PlayStation was going to PlayStation 3, and 3 just sounds like it's further along and better than 2. And so from a competition and naming standpoint, having something that had a 3 in it and calling it 360, when people go to look it up or search for it or whatever, it has a differentiator that separates the two. Thanks, Jokes. You answered that for me. Hour and a half in, what do you think so far?
So far, it's clean. Looks good. Like, I played the demo, so I went ahead and still played through. So it's like I'm playing some of the same stuff, obviously, but there's some minor.
You didn't pick up from where the demo ended, or you haven't played anything but the demo?
No, I'm playing the main one, but like where I'm currently playing, it's essentially the stuff that was in the demo. Outside of the
right, so you didn't pick up from your save from the demo, even though you can pick up from your save from the demo.
It's weird, unless I just clearly missed something. It didn't give me the option.
Oh yeah, you missed something.
It didn't give me the option. I probably did. Whatever.
Oh, you definitely did. No, it's not a probably. It's a fact. Like, they told you when you play the demo that
I know they did.
You can save this and pick up right where you're. So you missed something. You had to. Yeah. All right. So you played the demo and you basically have replayed the demo again.
Essentially.
All right. Good job. So
I didn't do the second part of the demo. I started it. I didn't finish it. So, but clearly that's way into the game at some point. So
wait, you didn't finish the demo?
I did the first part, and then they released the second. So no, shut up, Sin.
Like, just shut up, Sin. Like, I'm trying to understand. Now I'm asking.
I finished the first half of the demo.
Maybe that's why it didn't give you the option because you didn't finish the joint. Like, all right. So look, I played. I played for a couple of hours. Here's the thing. We discussed this a little bit outside of a public forum. Look, it's cool. You know what I mean? Like, I'm here for it. I did not play through Remake. I played the beginning of Remake and I played the beginning of Intergrade, and that was enough for me to have save files that allowed me to get my extra stuff bonuses starting Rebirth. So I got my bonuses. I will tell you that for me personally, they are right. It is not necessary to play Remake to play Rebirth. It probably helps. However, I am also someone who is already familiar with what the story is, or at least what the story was. So like a lot of the things that might be confusing to someone else or something along those lines, that might be what the difference is for me. Is that like, it's like, all right, this is cool. And not only like the fact that remake is really only Midgar. I've probably replayed just the Midgar section of Final Fantasy VII, I don't know, 7 or 8 times. Like just going back and starting it over and doing that initial run and blowing up the first, you know what I mean? And like just kind of doing, because that first part of that is only like 6 or 7 hours. So they stretched that out to like a 30-hour game, which is kind of like, what are you doing? I'm gonna tell you what I don't like.
Okay.
I don't like Queen's Blood, which I know a lot of people are raving about. Oh my god, Queen's Blood is like this little card game in it.
I didn't know. I didn't see nothing about Queen's Blood, so it has a card game in it. Fancy.
It has a card game in it.
After 9, I don't like that stuff.
And, look, I know that Gwent was a thing.
Well,
so much so that they made it a standalone thing.
True.
Right? In The Witcher.
Let me put it like this. At least in 9, I don't know if it works in The Witcher or whatever like this. When you're playing the actual game, in 9, you couldn't beat the story because you have to do like there's a point in the game you have to do a card turn when you're forced into it. But like if you don't find all like the special cards and all that kind of stuff before them, you're kind of screwed when you get there. And the strategy guide I had from Squaresoft at the time would say stuff like, hey, if you want to know how to get this card, go to the website. Like, I bought you for that purpose, so I don't have to. It was.
Hey, dog, you supposed to get your guys from Prima, bro. You ain't supposed to, you're supposed to be in the Square guide, bro. That ain't right.
It was terrible.
I'm pretty sure. So, all right, here's what I'll tell you. I have listened to people who have finished this game.
Wait, what?
You shocked?
Yeah. I mean, people get review copies. And
early
stuff
review
like
copies.
Like I've listened to people who have finished this game say things like, I skipped the tutorial for Queen's Blood because I'm like, this is a side thing. I don't really want to do it. I'm just going to go through the story or whatever. It's not that big a deal. Only to find out later that you actually have to play it. Like, it is a story element. And you need, at some point, you will be forced to play the game. And they're like, I made it through it, but I had no idea how to play the game because I skipped the tutorials. You know what I mean? When I had the opportunity. So they introduce it very early on. It doesn't even honestly really make sense when they introduce it or how they introduce it. Whatever. It's not really the point. For me, it's not even about whether or not Queen's Blood itself is a good game or a standalone thing. I just don't need more games in my games. Like, I'm just at a point where, like, I don't need the mini games in the game. Like, part of the idea of waiting years for this remake to happen and then them splitting it into 3 individual joints. I'm like, dog, if y'all just made the game, made the story, made the game so I could go through, fight the people, level up, you know what I'm saying, get the collectibles or whatever, have your little hidden stuff, that's cool.
That's another thing to irritate.
Why is there a mini game in every town? Why is there I do know that to some extent, especially since 7 happened, that mini games are just kind of a part of the DNA of Final Fantasy games to an extent. Whether you're playing 10 and it's that stupid not volleyball but ball soccer in the water thing, whatever that joint was, in 10 and 10-2.
Oh, what the Blitzball?
Yeah, Blitzball. So unnecessary.
Yeah. Yeah,
so unnecessary. Like, there's just no point, bro. And there was a time when I'm like, that's kind of cool that they did that. But like, when I look at what's happening with games and how long games are, how long it takes to finish them, I had time for all that. You know what I mean? And if you lock certain collectibles or things that you could use that might open a weapon or something like that behind that stuff, like, to me, it feels like you're artificially inflating the game in some manner, even though you've taken the time to, like, you created an entire card game with its own rules and all these figures and all this kind of stuff. Like, that's a lot of work. Like, it's just a lot. You could have done something else with that money. You could have maybe not been mad at Square Enix that Hitman didn't sell the way you wanted to sell because you was putting that kind of money into doing fun. You know what I'm saying? Like,
are people requesting these mini games?
No,
in RPGs, exactly.
Absolutely
so why
not.
keep flooding them, especially Square? Why keep flooding them with it?
It's not just Square, like, but it is, but it's not just Square. But I'm just saying that I don't know. Like, for me personally, I don't like the idea of there being something that technically I can skip, that I kind of want to skip, but it's also like I kind of shouldn't, because there's a thing that I could get, because there's a certain level of completionist in me that's like, well, let me try to get all the stuff. You know what I mean? And it just adds another marker. Like, as soon as you come out into the main town, once they give you the Queen's Blood set, you see these markers in town of, like, this is a person you can play against in Queen's Blood, and this is a person you can play, and you have to beat certain people in order to get more cards, you know, whatever, that then you can play when you play against other people. And again, there is a story element to it, and there's some cool stuff you can get or whatever for doing it, but it still means you have to stop. It just, you know, like, there's enough side quests already within games like that are kind of like, I thought he was in a hurry when he was trying to save the world. Like, what? We just playing games out here. Like, you know, there's a lot of that. And, like, you know, you put some of that aside, but I just feel like, man, what could you have done with that development time? What, you know what I mean? Like, who could you have paid with that money? What, you know what I mean? Just what else could you have done with that instead of packing these additional things in there? And, like, I might be willing to give you Chocobo racing / breeding, because
classic
Black Chocobo is
yeah.
I ain't even gonna stunt. Black Chocobo is the thing, right? But in that, you have, like, certain little side joints you can do. You have missions now that you can kind of go off and do to kind of romance, which was in the first original game a little bit,
right?
But, you know, they've kind of stolen some Mass Effect elements of, like, hey, do the things that are important to this character so you can raise, you know, your level with that person, so you can choose that person if you want to go on the little date or whatever. And it's like, all you're doing is going on the one joint for real at the end of the day. It's cool. Combat's cool. It's improved, I think, from the first one.
Okay.
The synergy joints are there, but they kind of gave you that and integrate anyway.
Yeah, that's right.
So it's cool. I'm down to keep playing it, but I'm not head over heels. I'm not 10 over 10 out of 10. You know, I would save an actual score for, like, when I'm done with it, but it's just kind of cool to go back and revisit it. You know what I mean? That's kind of where I am. But there is a part of me in some manner that would have liked to have seen them almost, like, have the gumption to just do a Final Fantasy VII Part 2. Like, to give us a full game and remake, let us play through it, let it be the 30 hours or whatever, and then give me a Part 2. Like, if you're going to change the story up or whatever, cool.
Yeah. Especially
now give me a Final Fantasy VII 2 because you did that with 13 and you did it with 10
and 13.
Yeah, I would like to say Advent Children and make that into a game. Like, just make it like a DLC, just game wise or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't need, like, you could give me something that happened after Advent Children. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't have to be. I don't need or want Advent Children personally to be a game, but I could be pretty happy with the idea of them doing something that took that story forward. The only reason to me why this then exists, and again, look, you could write any number of things to retcon something if you want to. The only reason why you don't do a part 2 is because you want Aerith to be alive. Like I feel like they're like, we made a mistake.
Yeah,
She's
you crippled a
alive
whole
now.
generation of people.
Yeah, like so. I feel like that's it.
That's the reason why I beat Final Fantasy VII.
Because Sephiroth needed his whole.
Yes,
You know,
like,
I didn't care about saving the planet. I didn't care about saving
none
the
of that.
world.
It was just about putting Sephiroth down. Like
nothing to do with none of that.
I was on my John Wick searching for Slim. Like, let's
Slim needed these Knights of the Round.
All of them.
All of them,
bro.
Over and over and over again.
I got my golden chocobo Goku. We went out to that little island by itself, picked that thing up.
Listen.
Came back and whooped Slim.
Hey, dog. Greatest summon of all time. Hands down. Let's talk about Dune Part 2. What up, Zay? Dune Part 2. Before we start this segment, I want to make it very clear that I'm a hater. So before we, you know what I mean? Let's just get it out of the way.
Fair enough.
Cool. Let's talk box office draw for Dune Part 2. So opening weekend, domestically, there are conflicting reports, but somewhere between 81.5 and like almost $83 million domestically. Globally, about $178 million, right? And people are like, this joint is the box office sweetheart. And I'm like, dog, there's no movies out. What are they going against?
It's by itself.
Kung Fu Panda come out next week. Like, I just like it's just I'm just like, I don't know what y'all talking about. Like, I'm not saying it's not good. I haven't seen it. More importantly, I have no intentions of seeing it.
In the same place.
But I mean, let's talk about it. This movie cost $190 million to make. So they're at least on track to catch that. They may have even done that in the last 2 days. You know what I mean? At this point, considering, you know, the weekend numbers end on Sunday. The question is, and a lot of people are throwing this out there, but I'm going to actually give an extra shout out to Perp, who has a tendency to jump in and hang out with us in the chat. Because he did it, he, you know, talked about it on his channel. Will this movie hit $1 billion? Jokes, what do you think?
I don't think it's going to hit $1 billion.
Okay. Is there a particular reason why you feel that way?
Not necessarily. I feel like it's getting definitely everyone that wanted to see it. I feel like it's coming out initially during this beginning phase of the run. I don't know. I haven't looked to see what other movies come out over the next few weeks to see what would potentially take it one like out of IMAX and things like that. But if there's nothing else that right now that's on the horizon coming out, it could surely hit $1 billion because of the fact that people are just, hey,
I think Ghostbusters, maybe.
Yeah, I don't think Ghostbusters.
I think Ghostbusters is like the next major like thing that I would say is a major. I think that's the next thing that's major that's coming out. I didn't look. I thought about looking, and then I decided I didn't feel like it. What do you think, Sam?
Let me see.
I don't think it'll hit $1 billion.
Okay.
I think having part 2 on it is going to hurt it a little bit with it, because those who didn't take the time to sit down and watch part 1 or go see part 1 in the theater, they'd have to sit down and watch that one to get into this one. And that first one is 3+ hours, so that's not like a quick watch. You know, it might take some people 2 nights or whatever it takes for them to get through it and watch it. I think that'll hurt it. I think Kung Fu Panda, I think will hurt it. I think a lot of people probably look forward to Kung Fu Panda.
The only other thing that comes out, but it's not until the end of the month, is Godzilla and Kong. But that would, I mean, that's still a little bit further out. That could,
even still, that'll put it. If it's still alive and kicking in theaters at a time, that'll definitely, you know, put a dent on that $1 billion. And I don't know if, even though I'm hearing good things about it, is the fandom strong enough for it to reach 1 billion? I'm
all right. So
not sure. Like I'm
I'm
personally interested in seeing it because I did take the time to go see the first one in the theater and didn't hate it. You know, it was boring and Zendaya wasn't in the movie, but
I hated it because it was boring, and Zendaya wasn't in it. For real,
she really wasn't in it. Yeah.
Now, I don't know if Zendaya is a $1 billion box office draw.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the combination of her and Timothée Chalamet, and like I think that there are enough people in this with strong enough names and strong enough social media followings that it could, lift. The first movie was a split. It came out during the pandemic. It was released to theaters, but it was also released to HBO Max, which is where I watched it. I watched it on HBO Max. That the first movie cost 165 million to make and did 433 million in total. So didn't do half a billion. I do know that there are people who are saying that they like this way better than the first part.
Mm-hmm.
I do know that there are people who I have literally heard say they are going back for their second and third viewings. I don't think people did that at all with the first one, especially because of the pandemic, and especially because you could watch it at home. Yeah. You could go to the theater and then just watch it again at home.
When you get back home,
This being exclusive to the theater could draw enough people back in for an additional viewing. Like no movie that hits 1 billion because that many people went to see it. It makes that kind of money because people go see it more than once. Like that's what it is. People are like, yo, this is so good. I want to go see it again. Right. And maybe they go with other people or they go with different people than the people they went with the first time or something like that. That makes a difference. I don't think this is going to do 1 billion. I don't think it's that strong, but I didn't see it, and I'm not gonna, because the first half was weak.
I'm like watching it when it comes home.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not saying that like because I've seen the first part, I'll see the second part.
Yeah.
But I disliked the first one enough to be like, I'm not going to see this even if it is good, because they already stole 2 hours of my life. Because the first part was
yeah, he's like capital B.
It was beautiful, but it was boring.
Was it? I mean, it's sand, right? Like, I mean, like, I don't.
Yes, I don't like sand, but like I like
it. Was
that sand?
Yeah,
was
it was.
Beautiful.
Hey, listen, bro, for the one person who's always like, "Can we please get off Tatooine?"
Please,
that was Tatooine. The movie.
It's like going into Dune. I know already. This is just saying. You get nothing else in Dune. Just saying. At least in Star Wars, you get different places. They just keep going back to Tatooine.
Right, because you got to go revisit the worm again. Yeah, I mean, look, there's definitely a lot behind it. I mean, look, here's what, generally speaking, right? For a movie to break even, it needs to make double its budget. Whatever it costs to make it, it needs to do double that to break even. Because generally this costs 190 million to make, but then you have the marketing budget. And this joint is everywhere.
Yes. Popcorn buckets, the whole nine.
It is everywhere, bro. So they put easily another 100 million or so, definitely more. I'm just gonna go more, like 200 million into the marketing of it. You know what I mean? And that's like, it's Warner Brothers, which is like I don't know what they doing anyway, for real. But it is also Lionsgate, And Lionsgate put up, for lack of a better way of saying it, the lion's share to get this done, right? They got a lot of big tax breaks because they shot a lot like overseas. They got, you know what I mean? Like there was a lot, you know, with that. But I don't, if there's a part of me that feels like if this movie was all there was, like if it wasn't a part 2, it would do better. That's
Okay. I agree.
That's where I'm at. That's where I'm at. I don't think it's gonna get much better than that. Curveball.
There it is.
Yep. I was waiting for it.
You were not. You were not.
Was.
Hey, listen, he's been expecting it ever since the last curveball.
No, I actually had it. I just when you type go to type everything in to go live, I was like, that just seems a little light. There's got to be there's something hidden here, but we'll see.
Man was reading between the lines.
I mean, there's a lot more. There's a lot more. We got to talk about EA NCAA basketball. There's no rest for the Wicked trailer. Just $2 billion fine that Apple just got slapped with. There's a lot going on. You know about that, Jokes?
I didn't know about that.
We'll come back to that. We'll come back to that. But before we do that, I kind of want to take a moment to speak on this. So this weekend, Awesome Con, we will once again be doing our Being Comfortable Being a Geek panel. We're going to have Jerry, the franchise Gaylord, on the panel with us, which will be awesome. Jerry has joined us on this show many a time. We're excited to have him, especially now that he can kind of talk about X-Men 97, being a storyboard artist on that and so forth. What he's had going on with illustrating Clark and Lex and doing covers, variant covers for DC and stuff like that. So this Saturday, March 9th, 3:30, room 207B, we'll be doing this panel. And it's going to be shorter than we like because they only gave us 45 minutes. And generally we need, honestly, a whole 90. So what I'm going to do is we're going to have a little bit of that panel right here, right now. And here's why. I was working on some videos and I came across something and I want to share it real quick. So I'm going to do that so that y'all can see what I saw. Y'all ready?
All right, let's go for it.
Okay, what's your favorite movie in the Dark Knight trilogy?
And there's going to be, my favorite has to be this last two.
Your favorite has to be the last two? All right, let's stop right there for a second. Look at my face.
That's a perfect joke. That's a perfect joke.
You look at him right in his eyes right now. Did you just say that out your face?
Favorite is the last two?
We're going to run it back. Let's do this again. Okay, what's your favorite movie in the Dark Knight trilogy?
And there's going to be, my favorite has to be this last two.
Your favorite has to be the last two?
Yeah, because I mean,
you like them equally.
I like all of them, but I like the first one the least.
Okay. All right, let's stop right there.
Wow. Damn, I don't remember that.
There's tension, right? Like right now, there's tension.
Hey, bro, you were Usain, like you were about to lose, like, ooh. Let's just ready.
There's tension, right? That's happening here. And very often, I ask questions like this to all of you. Saying you already know where it's going. So I know that's why you look like you look right now. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna start it over again from the beginning one time so we can watch the whole thing. But then we have to talk about it because I actually think that what is happening here is like something that is important to like the being comfortable being a geek conversation. So I'm gonna run it back and let's just do it again. And I'm gonna let it play to the end of this segment. Okay. Okay, what's your favorite movie in the Dark Knight trilogy?
And there's gonna be my favorite has to be this last two.
Your favorite has to be the last two?
Yeah, because I mean
you like them equally.
I like all of them, but I like the first one the least.
Okay. Well, that's wrong. So first of all,
and the boot track.
Ken gave himself the boot track.
Here's the thing. Why is it so hard for us to pick a favorite?
I guess because we don't want to end up discrediting. Now, maybe discrediting is not the word to use, but to make it seem like the others are least worthy, maybe is the way to say it.
What are we afraid of?
I don't know, because I'm be honest with you, that one actually has a easy answer to it. It's probably not your or my same answer, but
it doesn't matter, right? Because it's just like, which one is your favorite?
The last two.
Well, I would have to say, like, about the last two. Now, the statement that he makes after he says that is, I mean, I like them all, but the first one is my least favorite. Now, if you watch that video, I just spent like 3 minutes talking about why the first one is the best one to me. So me and Kay are at odds. We're at odds in this moment, right?
Because he picks, of course, the other two, the one that you said, right?
It's just, like part of it is just, I honestly believe part of it is just like, nah, dog. Like you just said that the one that I think is the worst one is the one that's the best one. You know what I'm saying? And I just feel like some of that was adversarial in terms of that. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna grab both of these and I'm not gonna give you an answer because he could have just picked. He could have just picked either one of them. You know what I'm saying?
What up?
What up, Bart? So he could have picked either one. But it really did get me thinking, right? Because we do this, it happens all the time. Jokes has done it, Sin, you've done it. It is a thing that I wonder where the fear of making a choice about the things that we like. It feels a lot like a pop culture thing, right? Mm-hmm. I don't find that most people have a difficult time picking their favorite team, right? At least in a particular sport or something like that, right? Or maybe even picking who their favorite player like currently is or something like that. I feel like there is something about the playground that maybe makes us feel like if you pick a thing, you have to defend it. And I also think, and this is just my thinking, I want y'all to give me some feedback and chime in, but like, I also feel like some of the things that are left over from the childhood fears, the not being comfortable, being a geek, the idea of getting picked on or somebody disagreeing or talking bad about something you like, creates this fear that we often conflate the concept of our favorite with the concept of the best, and that those two things don't necessarily have to be the same thing. We've had many conversations on this show and just amongst ourselves where we can admit that like the thing in a series that we like the best, we also know isn't the best one. It just happens to be our favorite episode or our favorite character or, our favorite issue, our favorite movie. But a lot of times we seem to like, if I say this is my favorite, now I'm gonna have to defend it like it's the best one. You know what I mean? Or something like that. And I think we have that fear from that kind of thing. Cause I think as kids, you don't necessarily get the distinction between, like, if you're a kid on the playground, somebody goes, what's your favorite one? And you go, I like the Gundam such and such, right? And they like, nah, you said the Gundam such and such was the best one. Da can't be. You stupid. You don't, you know what I mean? Or something like that. And then it turns into like and being able to defend, you almost can kind of get forced into being like, nah, you right. That one is, I do like that one better because that one's the best one, right? Might be the best fighter, or it might be faster, or the colors might be better, or whatever.
That's why I like to have two different lists. Like, this is my favorite, but this is what I think is the best. Like with anime, for instance, you know what I mean? Like, these are my favorites that I'll, whatever. I don't care if y'all don't like them. Like, these are just mine. They do it for me. But what I think the best are, I have that in a different one. That's why sometimes when somebody asks me something, I have to ask like, okay, you're asking for my personal favorites, or what do I think the best one is? Because it's a different answer depending on what that is.
But I also think that as an adult and someone who has become comfortable and having had conversations, not just like this for years, but probably more regularly than other people do because of who we are, you're comfortable in trying to find a way to denote that. You know what I'm saying? Like, and saying like being able to personally be like, hold on. Do you want to know which one's the best? Or do you want to know which one I like the best? Right. And I think it's I like the best is the part that makes us conflate. Like, I like it the best is my favorite. But it's you're still using the word the best, right? The one I like the best versus which one is the best, I think can get really confusing.
That's why I keep it to like my favorite and what I think the best is. Like, just my personal favorites. And if you're asking what I think the best is, it's this for A, B, and C. If you think that's the best, I like this because this is my favorite because of A, B, and C. They just hit it for me on those particular things.
Right. And I do think sometimes, right, that I'm going to keep it a buck. I think sometimes when you say it out loud, when you say this one is my favorite because this, and this happens, right? And then you say this one's the best because this, and this happens. Well, if that's the best, why isn't the one that's the best your favorite? And now it sounds like maybe it could be conflicting or, whatever. But I think that we can't always put into words maybe exactly why something is our favorite versus something being the best. But why wouldn't the thing that's the best?
Like, we love Big Trouble in Little China. I'm not gonna say it's the best movie ever made, but I love that movie to death.
Yeah, but is it your favorite anything?
That particular one, no.
Well, so that's what I'm saying. So, like, again, that's like
maybe B action movies if I sat and really thought about it, but that's not a question I've ever really thought of. But I love cheesy B movie stuff, and as much as as a staple for me, it could be up there in that category if I really sat down and really looked at it like that.
Jokes, if I was to say to you, what's Sin's favorite anime? What would you say?
One Piece.
Okay. There was a time where if you asked me that, I would have told you, oh, it's Ranma half. It's Ranma 1/2. That's the joint. It's all he talks about. He won't shut up about it. He's trying to make me watch the joint. And he has told me on many an occasion it is his favorite and it is the best. Like, I've heard the words come out of his face. And I can clearly recall the first time I ever heard him say One Piece was his favorite anime. I was like, you lying. You lying. Right? Hey. But listen, can something come along that replaces something? Can your taste change over time?
Absolutely.
Can you mature to a point where the reasons why you like something you can separate from the reasons why something might be considered the best thing, right? So if you say, what is the best Batman film? Maybe it has every single thing you can think of that you love about, like, that makes a Batman thing a Batman thing. It's got just the right amount of Bruce Wayne. It's got just enough Batman. The action is really clean. It has one of your favorite villains in it. It hits all the tropes that seem like they come from the animated shows and the comic books and whatever, kind of all thrown into one thing. You can say that one's the best one. However, that one scene in this one movie where he did this such and such, that joint's my favorite. That joint, to me, I would rather watch that movie to get to that scene, watch through that scene, and then see everything that happens after that scene, more than I would want to watch this one, even though I know that it is put together better, like, as a film. You know what I'm saying? Cinematography, music, the way it's shot, blah, blah, blah. But this is, and like, you learn to separate those things. But that's not always, where we are. And I think that there are a lot of people who, even at an adult level, haven't gotten to a place where they can comfortably separate those things or say those things and feel like it's okay or it's safe to defend their position. Does that make sense?
I think that works.
Jokes, do you have a favorite Power Ranger?
Tommy.
All right. That's only slightly confusing because that man has been multiple Rangers.
Which one of the 5 would you say?
Well, I'm just saying. So, like, if you say, I find it interesting, right? That when I ask you that, in my head, I was expecting you to go the Green Ranger or the White Ranger or the such and such Ranger.
If it had been any other person I'd have picked, it would have only been one.
But when you say Tommy, I was like, all right, well, he cheated because he's like 3 Rangers or something. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you cheat. But I mean, Tommy,
you gave me a guy.
Like,
he is listen, no doubt, he's a Ranger. Whatever. All right.
Hey,
you know what I'm saying?
I can pick one though.
Is he the best Ranger?
Maybe not the best Ranger.
I gotta
see what I'm
ask you
saying?
something
But
about Power Rangers when we get off.
It's interesting, right? Like, so, like, the idea, Tommy is your favorite, hands down. You didn't even hesitate. Is he the best? And so if I had asked you instead, what Ranger's the best Ranger? First thing out of your mouth isn't Tommy. Like, you don't just blurt that out. And again, that's interesting because I think there are people who'll be like, well, how could Tommy not be the best Ranger? And you see what I'm saying? And could you put into words comfortably why that is? And is it tied maybe to the fact that you don't just like Tommy as a character, you like JDF, the person who plays Tommy, as a human?
Facts. That's facts too.
Yeah, I'm just, you know what I mean? And I just think that's interesting. And it's the kind of thing that, like, we just won't have time to go into at the panel. Right? Maybe some sort of a short version or blurb of it, but, like, the idea that if I ask a grown man, which one of these is your favorite? Both of them. What? What do you mean? You know what I'm saying? But he also didn't say, well, I can't choose. It's not what he said. He didn't say I can't choose. He didn't say I like these two equally. Even when I said that to him, I'm like, so you like these equally? He was like, well, nah, but I like the first one the least. That was just a dig for real at me, which is cool. Which is why I dug back. Like, all right, that's wrong. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, but I think that's super interesting. Sana says, I also feel like it happens when you can't explain your favorite without explaining the others. It starts getting complicated to talk about. 100%. 100%. So if I say, Zaina, pick a bias, which one's the one? Can you do it? Candace says, I think sometimes we're just not comfortable with the possibility of having an unpopular opinion. Also very true. I bathe in it, shower in that joint. Like,
oh, hey, Wayne Tech, hey, something.
oh,
Hey, hey, listen, Wayne Tech did not agree with you on something you said.
apparently, I'm sitting now like joint crazy.
Wayne said, "Enough of that, sir."
Said enough, you buddy. You over there talking about Batman again?
You keep saying that back to back. I'm getting tired of this.
Hey, you gonna
I'm
keep my
cut
name
your
out your
short.
mouth?
Keep my name, Wayne, out your mouth. Yeah, look. Andrew said like the debate of Batman versus Superman or Miles Morales versus Peter Parker. I mean, 100%. Right? Like people ask me all the time, like who my favorite superhero is, and I might just say Spider-Man. But then now people will be like,
well, which
Miles
one?
or
Miles or Peter.
Yeah.
And it's like, I like Miles, but I didn't grow up with Slim.
Right.
I do like Miles, but I grew up with Peter. That's my guy. That's the dude.
Die.
We went through it together. You know, like I don't know.
We was in the trenches.
The best of times and the worst of times.
I feel you.
Yeah.
Me and Rama was right there.
100%. I mean, it's real. It is definitely one of those things where, you know, I would like to see it get better for people.
Mm-hmm.
And that, you know, again, I think Candace makes a very strong point in saying like some people just don't want to have the unpopular opinion. And so when people ask, you just end up like, you know, I think it's unpopular for your favorite to be like pick your favorite. Both of them, like, like that's
Both of
that's about as unpopular as it gets. Like, what do you mean? But also, I think it's safe to say I like this one better than that one.
Mm-hmm.
I like that one better than that one. You can put them in order and say, all right, well, if you had to rank them 3, 2, 1, you know what I mean, or whatever. That doesn't mean it's gonna be easy, you know, to do, but I do think it's very interesting. It's something I'd like to explore more. I would like to ask more people about it and kind of bring it up as a topic, you know, with, you know, some of the crowd when we do the being comfortable being the geek panels, because I do think it is something, again, that is worth kind of exploring some of that leftover, you know, maybe being afraid to say, you know, no, I'm not picking. I don't, you know what I mean? I don't, you know, I don't know what to do. And it's not always like that with everything.
Right.
Like there might be times if I ask Sin, say something like that, like, and it might be anime related, he might say in a heartbeat, oh nah, I say Tom. You know what I mean? Like easy, right? Where he might struggle a little more to pick a particular character in something else. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, which one's your favorite, right? Who's your
like I was saying,
favorite
something
X-Men?
I've never even thought of before. Then it's gonna stump me like, because I don't like giving what my wrong answer is. Like I want to be as on point as possible before I.
You want to be able to think it through.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I want to be able to say, okay, without a doubt, that's my favorite. I don't gotta think about that no more. To the day I die, I can rock with that one. You know what I mean? So
yeah, but I mean, again, but I also think it's okay for what your favorite was to change. Your favorite was at one point Rama, and now it's One Piece. And I would say there was a time in there maybe where there was some Dragon Ball sprinkled in there or something, but like,
not that even
you
Gary
know,
and Rama were like my
Evangelion definitely was on that.
Yeah, it still is. It's still my like. It's still
they up there.
Technically my number one till One Piece finishes. Technically,
sure.
Yeah,
sure. Yeah, I get that. Again, I would really love to have some more conversation around that at some point. Thanks to the chat for kind of chiming in on that. Andrew says kind of like PR actors when you ask which suit they like better, but try to say both. Like, come on, JD would tell you. I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean,
it's not too many of them that you can even ask that question to. There's only been a few that have like been able to have multiple suits or actually be multiple Rangers. So
I agree. I mean, again, it just, I think there's something to be said for having something that is so special or that people like enough that they have a hard time picking a favorite, or that they might have a hard time dealing with what's their favorite versus what they actually think is the best. You know, listen, Zaina and I have had that conversation about like Iron Man 2. She's like, that's my favorite joint. I know it's not the best one, but that's my favorite one. You know what I mean? Like, it just, you know, you like it for the reasons that you like it, whatever it is. For some people, it's like, it's comfort food. You know what I mean? I watched such and such movie when I was going through a particular thing, and so it helped me get through whatever. So, no, I don't think it's the best. That's the one I like the most. You know, that's the one I watch the most often. That's the one I can quote, you know, nonstop all the way through.
Everything out of there.
Yeah, you know, I think that matters. So we probably won't dig into it at all this time. Oh Lord, Zaina said before I get hate, not the best, but man, I choose that one every time. I got you. I cleared you. I cleared your name. You good? We can repost that video though. I mean, but you know what? You also like Iron Fist, and man, listen.
Ooh. Ooh.
Oh no. All right, so a couple more things. We can wrap the show up. So EA Electronic Arts is finally going to do another college football game. So NCAA football is coming back, which we've known for a while that they were going to do another one. Part of why it went away and part of what they had to do to get this right is, you know, the laws have changed and it, in most states, became illegal for people to benefit off of the likenesses and so forth of college athletes without paying them for it in some manner. So last week, we didn't talk about this, but last week, EA put out a tweet, made an announcement that they offered $600 and a copy of the game to every athlete who decided to sign up to have their likeness and their attributes put into the game. Now, seeing your face look like.
Yeah, you heard that right. 600 bones.
Just
600 bones.
Here's a QR code to download the game and here's 600 beans. That's it.
A copy of the game at some point is what it says.
At some point.
At some point, just not got it. Okay.
Hey, look, when the game decides to join Game Pass, we gonna hook you
up. They contacted over 11,000 athletes. There was a lot of discussion about this, not just in the video game community and on podcasts and stuff last week, but also in the sports community, because it is really one of the first times that what has been established by the NIL, which basically allows for college athletes to get paid for those kinds of things, is being utilized in something that has such large potential. And there are a lot of student athletes who people feel like you would be an absolute fool to sign that deal because you're worth way more than that. You know what I mean? Like, it's gonna be that important. Now, here's the thing. I wanna actually grab a couple of quotes and just tell you. So, EA Sports said players who opt into the game will receive a minimum of $600. Yeah. What up, Heather? Will receive a minimum of $600 and a minimum of $600 and a copy of EA Sports College Football 25. There will also be opportunities for them to earn money by promoting the game. Now, clearly, everybody's not going to get that. You got to be the star, the Heisman, you know what I mean? Like, you got to be somebody. They got to do a deal with the school. Like, there's going to be a lot to that, but okay. Players, this is the thing. Players who opt out will be left off of the game entirely, and gamers will be blocked from manually adding or creating them. They didn't specify how they're going to do that, but apparently they will make it so that you can't go in, make somebody that looks like them, put the number on them, give them the stats that match them, and create the person. If you opt out, people can't go in and manually make them or put them in. I don't know how they're doing that.
Neither do I.
But that's what they said. And a lot of people feel like that was some level of like a scare tactic, you know what I mean, or something like that. Look, I think there are a lot of athletes who maybe aren't the star on a team who are like, why wouldn't I take $600 and tell my friends and family like, yo, I'm in the game. Look, it's really me. It look like me. It's,
I'm in the
game. Da. Now, what that means as far as them having their likeness, how long they hold on to it, like it's gonna be crazy. Cuddy says last week some sports shows was like EA wouldn't make any money if they really paid players, too many players to pay to even break even likely. I disagree. And I disagree because they do it with the NFL every year.
And the amount of money, even though it ain't as many of them, that they probably give to like half them players. And listen,
I mean, here's the thing, Andrew.
If they paid my tuition, hey, I probably would be, depending on what school I go to.
You have to stay at the school. You have to stay on the team. Like if you end up not on the team, they take you out of the game. All that kind of stuff already exists. But it's like, let's be honest. If you're not that good of a player that the school's not paying your tuition, EA not paying your tuition.
Or they're gonna hit the vice versa. Wait, isn't your school already paying your tuition all the way off? Why we need it? Why we got to give you extra money? They already paying your tuition.
Or hit you with the, who are you? You play for us?
Here's the other thing you have to remember. Here's the other thing you have to remember. There is a lot more money to be made. I may have missed this, but they still get their nil deals too. Yes, technically this falls under nil deals. It is considered part of that. Here's what I think a lot of people are not realizing. They haven't done one of these games since like 2005, 2004 or something crazy like that. Like it's been a long time. However, like the last 2 or 3 college football games that came out, you could play, run your seasons with your team. Then you could take those teams and you could take players from those and you could port them into Madden. And you could continue your season using those people. In people who buy NCAA also buy Madden. Period. There is so much money to be made. I know it's so. Here's the thing. The reason why we're talking about it is because they announced today or yesterday that over 10,000 athletes signed up. 600 times 10,000. That's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. And it costs a lot of money to bring all those people in, scan everybody,
do all that,
put all their likenesses into the game, get all their stats right. It's a lot. There's a lot of work. I'm not, you know what I mean? They're gonna make that money back.
Oh yeah.
They're not just gonna make that money back. They're gonna do way better than make that money back.
Especially if they keep that same feature in.
If they add that feature back in, if they add that feature back in, it's gold.
EA just laid off 900 people.
900 people.
Something like that. Right? Shuttering studios. There's talk today of like they canceled the third person Mandalorian game that Respawn was working on. Respawn is working on something in the Titanfall universe, but it's not Titanfall 3. Like, yo, they got the only great Star Wars game out in the last 4 years, 2 of them, 5 years, right?
Yeah, make it make sense.
So when you're laying those people off and you're canceling a game that they're working, they literally said, here's the thing that's crazy about it. They literally said, we are going to stop working with IP holders. They don't want to do they want to have their own IP. They want to make the most money. You have to wonder, think about it. When PlayStation announced that they were letting all those people go, theirs was not like 900 people. I think EA was 600 people, but they let 900 people go. These were people at Insomniac. These were people that are making Spider-Man. They making the new Wolverine. They got, the question is, if those games made so much money, sold so well, and are so highly acclaimed, how much of that money is going to Disney/Marvel because they actually own the IP and you're just licensing it? What are they asking? How much, what percentage of the profit is Disney getting for Star Wars games that are being put out? That companies are now like, yo, dog, it's not worth it. It makes more sense for us to keep making sports games. It makes more sense for us to pay $600 to 10,000 athletes than it does for us to keep these people and make a Star Wars game that should sell like crazy. Right? But Madden, like they have built-in transactions. Those people play every year, they buy every year, and they do Ultimate Team, and they do, like, even think about it. They were willing to forego the amount of money that FIFA was asking them, so they just went to EA FC. It's not FIFA anymore, right? So that licensing, that IP, right? They like, nah, we done this. No money in it.
Get rid of it.
Right? And these are games that come out yearly. These aren't games that have, like, we've talked a lot about games that have a 5-year, 6-year gestation period before they ever see the light of day. Nah, we're not talking about that. We're talking about they put this joint out every year. It's a Madden every year.
Yep.
Right? It's a FIFA every year. Right? If they do this college football joint, it's coming out every year.
Like clockwork. Yep.
That's, I mean, there's so much. Madden makes so much money. So much money. I mean, it's probably, honestly, even though it doesn't sell the way like Call of Duty does, it's probably the closest thing to it in console gaming. Like, it's probably the next thing. It's for most people, dog, it's Call of Duty, it's Madden, and it's NBA 2K.
Yep.
Those are the mainstays, at least for the old heads. Young people are like, nah, let me get that free Fortnite. What's up with that Roblox? You know what I'm saying? What's going on with this Minecraft? Like, oh, it's ugly? We don't care. You know what I'm saying? Like, we in here.
Stadiums in here.
Yeah, it's social for us. Like, you know what I mean? So, like, the idea, like, there's no way they would offer that kind of money if they weren't going to be able to make that money back at least in double. At least in double. They absolutely intend to make that money back, and they'll get it. They'll get it. It just, there's like no two ways around it because they don't have any competition. There is no other football game. They were doing that and making that money when they were still like Quarterback Club and NFL Blitz.
They had all three of these that linked to each other.
2K. And like, are you kidding me? There was like football games. Everybody had a football game. It's just them.
Hey, listen, all they need to do now, like you said this beforehand, just bring back the EA Sports big brand and just, hey, bro, just give me NBA Street.
Yeah. I mean, look, think about it. They haven't made an NBA Live in 10 years.
That's about right now.
At least, maybe 12. So they're not putting money into that anymore. Dark says, my issue is they are fixing the issues with the games due to no competition. Again, they don't have, like, they
Madden has no competition.
Aren't fixing them.
There isn't anything. Right. Yeah, they aren't fixing them because there's no, I mean, they just, they don't have to. And now they're going to have to. Now they're going to have to. And they're going to be $70 a pop.
Yep. Base game. Don't wait till you get them special editions.
Nothing like that. Nah, base.
And I want to make it very clear that of all the games that come out, sports games make the most money in advertising. There are actual Sprite. Like, if you play NBA 2K right now, bro,
there's
every
the
stadium,
Sprite halftime report. They do all. They do the whole nine like they do
all
in real
that.
life.
All that, like they are making that money. There's no like people are paying for it. It's just like it's not even that $600 is chump change for real compared to the. We're not just talking about the kind of money they make. We're talking about the kind of profits they make. Dog says 2K has been broken for so long it isn't funny. About to get a PS2 so I can play Street and Live. I mean, yeah, 100%. Play Street.
Dog, there was a point in
play
time.
NBA Ballers, bro. Like if you go back to the PS2,
God,
play run ballers.
Hey, bro, there was a point that I would stand on that soapbox and be like, "Hey, listen, Live is better than 2K." And then I don't know what happened with EA. There was a point, like when they first started doing.
No, there wasn't. Hey, bro, listen. I will fight you. I will fight you on
he's
that.
He's one of them diehard live people back in the day.
Listen, I was a sin. I was, and then it got to a point where it's just like, hey, yo, this 2K is better than NBA Live.
Yeah.
Ball, rag to riches mode. Hey, listen.
Whoop, boy. That joint was tight, man. Yeah, look, I mean, it's gonna be really interesting to see what it really means going forward. You know, they get away with like not having to do that with NASCAR because like you don't really see who's in the car. They just got helmets on or something like that. So when EA do a joint like that, you know, it's a little bit different. Live was there when 2K came out on 3K. Hey, listen, Wiz. Let me tell you something about that original 2K with Allen Iverson
on the cover
of that joint. A rap, bruh. It was a rap. Like, and it just, for real, it was the difference between, I would tell people, so here's the thing. Technically, NBA 2K wasn't necessarily better than Live the way that NFL 2K was better than, like, NFL 2K was a whole different
beast. That was a beast. Yeah, it was like, hey, we need to buy that. Like, there was no, it was like, we need to buy that now.
Yeah.
And now we got
NBA 2K versus 2K. Live was like, oh, 2K is more simulation and Live is more arcade. And then it's like Live kept trying to sort of compete on the arcade thing. And I honestly think they did it to themselves by having EA Sports big and actually having a line that was the arcade games, because you had NBA Streets Volume 1, Volume 2, and you had Live, and it's like Live should have been their simulation while they had an arcade game in Fever Street and whatever, and Live didn't feel like that true separation. And so really, 2K became synonymous with just being way better. Them days, man.
They had a whole bunch to choose from. Even with some of the other ones, like there was like In the Zone that was like on PlayStation. That was like for a good few years. In the Zone was decent. But
I remember being in the mall and seeing that NFL 2K for the first time, like on a TV in Sears, and people just standing around watching, like, "Hey, is the game on?" Like, nah, bro, that's just the new joint. Good times.
Yeah, it's pretty sick, dog.
Good times.
It's pretty sick, bro. So, I mean, we can wrap it up, or we could poke fun at. I know I told you about this Apple thing jokes. I don't know if you.
I don't need
it. They got hit with an antitrust lawsuit. I'm gonna say I felt a whole semester. Hey, listen, I feel you, Wiz. I feel you. Up in that joint. Oh man. In the RA's room, running Marvel vs. Capcom.
Wanna take you for a little ride?
Playing the first Resident Evil. It was terrible. It was so bad.
Oh God.
Yeah, Apple got sued. They lost the antitrust lawsuit. They got to pay out $2 billion. Spotify brought a complaint against them a couple years ago because part of it was the App Store is taking 30%. So, like, if people had Spotify and they were paying for a Spotify subscription and they had an iPhone, Apple's taking 30%, right? And they weren't allowing you to buy directly from Spotify. That was already a thing. That's what that whole Fortnite thing was all about or whatever.
Yeah.
So Spotify had the same complaint. They're not the only ones. Every other music store had a complaint as well. But Apple was also blocking advertisements to anybody that has an iPhone or an iPad. So like if Spotify was like, you can get Spotify for this much a month, and it was like lower than what you could get for Apple Music or whatever, they were blocking it. Like you couldn't even see it. Like they wouldn't even let people see it. So basically, they got hit with an antitrust lawsuit for blocking and not allowing competitors to advertise to iPhone users and iPad users about better deals and so forth, on top of taking a percentage. So now they got to pay out, and they're gonna have to.
People.
Wait, dog. I'm about to say, I ain't never seen my man tell you talk to the hand. My man Joe told you talk to the hand. I don't even know if you old enough to know what talk to the hand is, Joe. I ain't talk to the hand. Hey, listen, I'm gonna ask the crowd out there. Y'all tell me, Zaina brought this up, and she wants to do a thing. Should we do a song of the week this week?
Song of the week.
I ain't asking y'all to. I'm asking them. I'm asking everybody else. I ain't asking y'all. I'm asking them. Y'all let me know. There's probably a lot we could do with something like that. It's pretty easy to do. It's a lot of songs. We'll figure something out.
A lot of songs.
Find something. Start putting some playlists together and stuff like that. Listen, once again, I want to remind everybody that this weekend, if you're going to be at Awesome Con, if you see us out there, make sure you come up, say hi. Just don't interrupt us if we're in the middle of shooting something with somebody or whatever, which happens from time to time. Hold on now. I'm not telling nobody your IDs. Panel is on Saturday. Who gets to choose a song? First of all, Zaina, you gotta get to work then, or I'm gonna choose it. Panel is on Saturday, 3:30 to 4:15, room 207B. Again, Jerry the Franchise Gaylord is going to be joining us this weekend on the panel. Storyboard artist on X-Men 97. Illustrator for Clark and Lex. Doing cover art for all kinds of stuff. The new Suicide Squad, new Justice League, doing multiple variant covers for Steel. Just getting it in there. So it's gonna be really great to have him on, have his perspective. It's good to have him back around away from home, all the way from the West Coast. So we did get a chance to go and see Jerry and Penny when they were doing their signing at Third Eye last Saturday. We did sneak through there. Listen, let me address this really quickly. I know we told y'all last week we were going to ChromaCon. I don't know if y'all saw that there was a lot of issues around ChromaCon, and they got it all together. Like, they managed to fix it. Not the con technically itself, but the venue where it was originally supposed to be hosted kind of pulled some okey dokes. Very not cool. There was a lot happening, and we had a hard time getting in contact with them to like solidify our press and stuff like that. And the reality of it is, we probably could have just gone up there and talked to somebody and found somebody that, whatever, and it probably wouldn't have been a big deal. But at the time, there was so much going on that we didn't want to pull them away from kind of the emergency situation they were in, trying to get all their vendors in and deal with people who now didn't have space because they ended up having to go to a different spot and things like that. And so we just kind of made the call when we didn't hear back right away and didn't really get feedback right away about what it was, that since Jerry and Penny were here, we were going to go and see them for their signing at Third Eye. Because things were just kind of so all over the place with Chroma. And for all intents and purposes, and with everything that we saw, they managed to pull off an incredible show and have a great first run. So kudos to them, hats off to them for really just kind of sticking to it. I've seen things like that break a lesser convention, break lesser con chairs, break lesser people, and I'm really happy to see them pull through it and have a great show. I did get contacted by a few artists who were there, who had tables there, who were like, yeah, nah, everything's cool now, it's smooth, like come on through. And I know it's a little easier to say that when you got in and you're there, because I did talk to some other people who, unfortunately weren't able to get into that space or whatever. It, look, it happens. But I think they handled it. I mean, I'm incredibly proud of the way that it was handled and the way that team pulled together and scrambled to make something happen was incredible. Heather, that's right. I did see you post that you were there. I'm glad that you got a chance to go and check it out. We kind of ended up having to call an audible at the last minute, and it was one of those things where, being the people that we are, like, we know Brittany, she's really good people, and we wanted to see them succeed, and we didn't feel like it made sense for us to draw attention away from anybody in that sense. Not the people who had panels, not the people who needed vendor space, not the people who were performing, to like, let little old us in or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, it didn't make sense for us to do that and kind of draw anything away from that. We wanted them to be able to concentrate on doing what they did, which was pull it all together and pull it off like in the incredible way that they did. So hats off to them. We will be at AwesomeCon.
Yes.
We got snacks. I'm gonna just tell you now. We got snacks. I talked to Lainey today.
Okay.
Lainey,
snacks incoming.
Listen, you gonna do snacks with us because I know you got a special diet. I need to know what the rules are.
Right.
She just said nothing spicy.
Oh,
done.
Okay, that's easy.
I said I know there's more rules than that, but all right, I'll make sure we have one.
If that's the one golden rule, then we can abide by that.
Yeah.
It's going down. It's going down. Hey, listen, I hope everybody was okay and nobody had a panic attack when they couldn't log into their Instagram, get on their Facebooks earlier today. Problem solved. I'm gonna tell you. Can I tell you what I think that was real quick? So, Meta announced today, or might have been towards the end of the day yesterday, that all people who have an Oculus account are gonna lose all their stuff. They're getting rid of if you haven't migrated your Oculus account over to a Facebook/Meta account, you will lose everything that you bought under Oculus. They are sunsetting that joint. It is gone. And I don't know if it was something that they did on their end as they are prepping to do that.
Push the wrong
I don't know
button.
If somebody hit that button. I don't know if they got overloaded with people who was like,
"Dang, they really
doing
my
it."
joint over, but I need to go double check.
Better go double check, because otherwise you gonna wake up.
That like 2 weeks ago,
and you ain't gonna have nothing.
There was a lot of people who, they talked about this like 2 years ago. And they were like, it was a lot of pushback because people were like, I don't want to sign up for a Facebook account. Y'all do too many ads. Y'all in my business. Like, it's not right. I shouldn't have to do that, to do this or whatever. So there were a lot of people I saw posting like, I thought they said they weren't doing that, whatever. No, they said they weren't doing it yet. Guess what?
That point.
Yet has come, right? Yet is here.
Someone accidentally pushed that wrong button. It was like, hey, yo, we gotta backtrack that jump. We didn't build the fail safe into it. You better make one.
I mean, I heard people say, like, I guess I'm losing all my stuff. I ain't signing up for no Facebook. Hey, dog, you already got an Instagram account. Shut up. You don't even know what you're talking about. I already got you, bro. You might as well just, it is what it is. But yeah, you might want to look into that sin, and you got some stuff in on that Oculus side. You might want to just migrate that over, buddy, or you're gonna lose. You ain't playing none of them joints. It don't really matter.
No, but I have like bought apps on it that I do use on them when I'm messing with it. So I don't want to lose that stuff. I have to rebuy it.
You're gonna lose it. You're gonna lose it. All right. Jokes, you got a job to do? While you do that, Sin, you got a job to do?
Yes, so let's shout out our top tier patrons, starting with Anthony Cunningham, Marcus Houston, Susan Dortch, Tyrone Carson, Meticulous Skin, Alex Lee, Ellis Mbaye, and Kermit Ferguson. Thank you very much. We truly, truly appreciate it.
In fact, we do. Jokes, did you post the question of the month to Patreon? Or saying, did you post the question of the month to
I
Patreon?
did. Yes, I did.
You did.
Yes.
All right, y'all. So if you're a Patreon member, the question of the month for February is posted. Yeah, it's a little late. Since they're taking on the chin. And there is a post up requesting questions for March. Correct, Sin?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
So make sure you go in, give us your suggestions. It was a really good question from 1000% fam.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about because we all have backgrounds in music. What are some of our musical influences, Black musical influences? So we had a pretty decent conversation about that. So make sure you go and check that out. Can we wrap it up, Jokes?
I think we can wrap it up.
We gonna play Final Fantasy?
I'm gonna play some Final Fantasy.
No, the hell he not. He just
Hey,
lied to your face.
Can't you
Hey,
tell the way
He
he
just
said it?
lied to your face.
That's already-
Hey,
Oh.
Sin, you shut up. Because actually, it is getting played. You know why it's getting played?
Why?
Because
It's already
when
on.
2K, no, because when I get my 2K tomorrow, that's going to be
yeah.
a problem. That's going to be the
so he
reason
won't.
why I don't play Final Fantasy. So you shut
I
your
thought that
mouth.
joint was out. I thought
It
it
is
came out today.
You didn't
It
pre-order
is.
yours?
I
You
ordered
didn't
the physical
pre-order yours?
one. I ordered
Oh.
the physical one.
Oh, so you got to take your ass to the store and get it where I can just go log in.
Actually, no, it's being
Okay.
sent to me. So you shut up. Because I wanted my edition.
Regardless, you got to wait, and I don't.
So, but here's the question.
Hey,
Have you
can I
actually
get
played
y'all
it?
to, can we cut wrestling promos at AwesomeCon against each other for the two of y'all?
Think
Can we
can
do that?
it? We can try and do it.
Might be able to be a thing. Might be able to be a thing.
All right, your cat wants you, dog. You gotta get out of here.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. I want to
He
thank
likes
everybody
that
for
time,
hanging out
bro.
with us, tuning in.
Wrap it up, B.
Yeah, it's been great, Andrew. Thank you. You have an awesome weekend too, even if you're not at AwesomeCon. Heather, I don't know if you're gonna be there, but if you are, catch us. Say what up. For everybody else, man, have a wonderful evening. Have a wonderful week. Have an enjoyable weekend. We'll see y'all next Tuesday. We talk some Women's History Month next Tuesday. Jokes, tell them what I need them to know.
Remember, y'all, just because you have a well thought out plan doesn't make it a good idea.
With that, we're out. Toodles and lose.
Loading snacks.